guide our lives by myths and stories, the ones that seem to hang on aren't really true. They just seem to be useful at the time, but they don't seem to get us in trouble. And right now, are we guiding our lives by myths and stories that are passing their use-by date? We have the kinds of problems that our old myths and stories about economics and business do not support very well, and we need a new set of stories that make us learn a lot faster and get us a lot closer to reality in our daily lives. Sometimes just talking every day we use casually some expression like to tell the truth. Is it possible to tell the truth? Maybe not. And grand old philosophers like Plato and many other deep thinkers millennia ago concluded, no, it's not. So Plato's grand old example was people in a cave with maybe a little light opening behind them, seeing shadows on the wall and trying to interpret from the shadows what was going on outside. And then, if you're not careful, you may believe that the shadows are really true. And as we all know, shadows are easily deceptive. And we'll use shadows to deceive each other. Now we get into the deception game. We love those. We even have lying contests where it's exaggerated and you're telling big lies where everybody knows this is ridiculous. The lies where people don't know it's ridiculous are much more subtle and maybe much more dangerous to us. Even science has trouble with this. The difference between folklore and science is that science will set up first a conjecture and then a hypothesis, and then they test, and is there evidence that we can see that supports this hypothesis? What are the shadows on science's wall that tells them we might be interpreting something a little bit closer to reality? Now, in pursuit of business or the work of almost any work organization, if the objective is something other than trying to get closer to the truth, we're probably going to have a problem at some point. We need to shift the mythology from the myths that we're independent of nature to a story that tells us we're part of nature. That's a huge missing ingredient in the modern world. And it goes way back. We're not independent of nature. We just think we are, and therefore nature can take care of almost anything we throw at it. It really isn't true. And we have to recognize that pretty quickly, or we can perform the wonderful job of exterminating ourselves. And so, yes, we do advance in learning. We don't get to the truth because that's too infinite, too far away. We never get there. But we get a little closer. That's learning. Science has all kinds of problems learning. A lot of people don't like what science learns sometimes, so they want to interfere with it. But the real objective going forward is not necessarily anything else except can we get a little closer to the truth about who we are, what we're doing to the earth, what we're doing to ourselves. And ultimately, that's the objective of a work organization going forward from today. Today we deceive ourselves a whole lot with the measurements we use about what we think is organizational success. The ultimate is usually something to do with growth and profitability. Are those really deceptive? Yeah, maybe they are. Because we can do what we think is much better, but it's still far from the truth about who we are, what we are, and where we might be going. The whole business world and the markets based on it have some degree of artificiality about them. They're a little far from reality. And for a good many of us, our perception of reality stops at a store or a marketplace. We don't ask any more questions. Where did this come from? What happened to it? What does it do for the world? Not do for the world? What happens to it when we're done with it? all those things, we don't ask more questions. So we're pretty impervious to any reality except, oh, I'd like that thing and here's how much it costs and I can afford to get it. That's the aspect of business that we have to get beyond. And it's not going to be easy because we're comfortable with it. We're comfortable with it in a time of apparent plenty. Let's suppose we had infinite energy. Could we be stupid in grander style than we ever could before? And so somewhere along the line we've got to recognize reality of our limitations, live with them, and figure out how we live with our limitations and with those that nature imposes on us. And we can lie to ourselves that there's nothing bad really going on. We can only do that so long. And somewhere, sometime, reality is going to crash in on us, and we'll have a different story about that too. What we need going forward is a learning organization that gets closer to the truth much easier, much faster. Maybe you can come with us on a journey to find that kind of organization.